The world is worried over how the oil will come after the Iran war. And now, what if you find your internet is also gone? And that reality may be not very far. Iran is no longer just threatening tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, it's signaling it could reach a vital artery of the global economy. Undersea internet cables that carry financial flows, cloud traffic, AI data sets, and everyday communications between Europe, the Gulf, India, and Asia. Let's connect the dots. For decades, Iran's power in Hormuz was about oil and gas. Roughly a fifth of globally traded crude passes through that narrow waterway. And any threat to tankers means instant pressure on global prices, insurance costs, and shipping routes. Now Tehran is signaling it can also touch the undersea fiber optic cables that carry around 99% of global internet traffic, including cloud, finance, AI workloads, and everyday communications between India, the Gulf, Europe, and beyond. That turns Hormuz from an oil choke point into a multi-domain choke point of oil and data, a much more powerful form of weaponization.
As you all know, we are now in the state of ceasefire, although it's very shaky. But we are trying to keep it in order to give diplomacy a chance, so a diplomatic solution, a negotiated solution can be found. As a matter of fact, there is no military solution to anything related to Iran. They have tested us times and again. We never bow to any pressure or threat, and we resist against any aggression, against any pressure.
Iran is signaling it could use tolls and regulation like fees, permits, and legal compliance from cable operators and big tech for cables crossing waters that it claims is its zone of control. Now, it could be insisting as well that Iranian companies or firms can repair and maintain these cables, giving Tehran de facto control over how fast damage can be fixed. State-linked media and IRGC Associated Voices have talked about the vulnerability of these cables, and they hint that traffic could be disrupted if companies or states don't comply. Even without physically cutting cables, regulatory harassment, delays, accidents, or slow repairs can be enough to spook markets, slow data, and raise risk premiums. Any escalation seizures, drone strikes, naval standoffs, pushes up the prices, freight rates, and insurance as well, especially for Asia and Europe, which still depend heavily on Gulf energy. Crude supplies from Iran's neighbor Iraq have fallen drastically in the month of April.
من مضيق هرمز بمعدل 93 مليون برميل شهريا.
We used to export through the Strait of Hormuz at a rate of 93 million barrels per month. In the fourth month, we only managed to export about 10 million barrels. We sought alternatives through the northern route and redirected part of Basra's oil to Kirkuk. We also utilized Kirkuk oil that had been designated for refineries, amounting to around 200,000 barrels per day, and exported it through the port of Shehan.
نصدر عن طريق مضيق عن طريق ميناء جيهان.
Simultaneous pressure on subsea cables means slower internet, higher latency, and potential outages for banks, stock exchanges, cloud services, AI data centers, and telecom companies across the Gulf and South Asia as well. Modern economies, they can't afford a twin shock of energy markets and digital infrastructure being squeezed at the same time.
Now, after 40 days of war, when the US became hopeless of achieving any goal in their aggression against Iran, they offered negotiation. We are interested in negotiation, but only if the other side is serious and is in line of real negotiations. We have no trust to Americans. This is a fact. And this is the main obstacle in the way of any diplomatic effort.
Several major cables linking India to Europe, they run through or near Hormuz. India's internet, cloud, and financial traffic would feel any serious disruption, as slower speeds, congestion, and higher costs could disrupt activities. Gulf states, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, etc., they are building AI and cloud hubs that depend on these cables. A hit there would impact global data flows and business operations. So for countries like India, it could hit digital sovereignty, financial stability, BPO, IT exports, and AI ambitions. They are held hostage by a single maritime bottleneck.
On the Strait of Hormuz, this is also our wish that it would be fully reopened. As far as we are concerned, the Strait of Hormuz is open and all vessels can pass except the vessels belonged to those countries who are in war with us, who are fighting with us. Those vessels who want to pass should obviously coordinate with our military because of the mines and obstacles which exist. So we will guide them to pass, as we have done for a number of Indian vessels.
The US is far less dependent on Gulf oil because of domestic shale production. So pure oil disruption hurts Europe and Asia more than it hurts Washington. But the undersea cable angle changes the calculus. US tech giants, Google, Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, and dollar-denominated financial flows rely on these routes. That gives Washington a digital stake, not just an energy stake. Over time, US domestic politics may still push towards letting regional players handle it, especially if American casualties or costs rise. In that scenario, we could see a lighter US footprint, more reliance on coalitions and proxies, pressure on Europe, India, Japan, and Gulf states to shoulder more of the security and cost burden. The US is unlikely to lose complete interest in a job that it started in Iran, but it may be less willing to be the sole guarantor for countries impacted by the consequences, forcing others to step up.
We will also be discussing sanctions and terror finance, and we call upon all our G7 and indeed all of our allies and the rest of the world to follow the sanctions regimes so that we can crack down on the illicit finance that is fueling the Iranian war machine and get this money back to the Iranian people. So thank you all.
Hormuz is now a test case for how a mid-level power could weaponize physical and digital choke points simultaneously. It accelerates India's point of dialogue and diplomacy because there are too many stakeholders in an interconnected world. The US Navy will probably want to cease to be the policeman of the seas, forcing countries to rework regional security architectures. The threat to any digital plus manufacturing economy is, while oil and internet both pass through a single, highly politicized strait, a serious strategy is required to hedge that risk. That's all in this edition of Connecting the Dots. We'll see you again on the next episode with more raging issues. Until then, it's goodbye from all of us in the Delhi newsroom. This is Mark Lynn signing off. Take care and stay safe.